You were talking about building bridges and building, and what's great is our next keynote is talking about building the future. Building the future women leaders in the workplace. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. John DiJulius, Chief, listen to this, this is awesome. Chief Revolution Officer. I'm going to change my cards to that. Chief Revolution Officer. He's the Chief Revolution Officer of DiJulius Group, John Robert Spa, and an international consultant and a best-selling author of 3 different books. Right now, he's really big with customer service, and that's why, we all love customer service. But he's written books on customer service, and we learn from that. And I actually have his latest book, and right now, his latest book, which is titled The Customer Service Revolution, it's #1 on Amazon. It hit #1 on Amazon right away. John also works around the world with world-class companies, the Ritz-Carlton, Lexus, Starbucks, Nordstrom, Nestle, Marriott, PwC, Cheesecake Factory, Progressive, Harley-Davidson, on and on and on and on. But I'm not going to keep going on because he's going to come up here right now and speak. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause up to the stage. Give it up for John.
Thank you. Rita, thank you for creating such an amazing event, recognizing the people that need to. And thank you for such a nice introduction. You think about bios and what you just heard, and a bio is written about someone's accomplishments, right? But listening to it and thinking about this award, a bio is not about the accomplishments of the person the bio is written about, it's about others, right? And so when I got the opportunity and asked to speak here, I started thinking about, it's always been really important to me in my businesses to help women. And I never really thought about why, and so this gave me a time to reflect and why and the impact that so many have had. And so, my story is about the people who deserve the accolades that are written in my bio way more than I do. So give you a quick perspective of my childhood, growing up in the early 70s. I had 3 role models. Male role models, and they were Pete Rose, O.J. Simpson, and Bruce Jenner. Yeah. So, it tells you a lot about my childhood, right? I was confused. Eventually opened salons, right? Fortunately, I had elite women. In my life that changed that. My father left my mother and 6 of us kids when I was 6, and I was raised by my mother and my 3 sisters. My childhood was rough, and it wasn't rough for me, it was rough for my mother. I was labeled ADD and LD and requested to repeat every grade from 1st through 12th. I went to grade school at St. Greg's, and I literally thought we owned the school because my mother told me she had to buy it to get me out of there. So I remember when one of the teachers told me to do something, I'm like, hey, I could have you fired, right? I own this place. So, I wasn't accepted in high school, which is my older brothers attended. I ended up graduating dead last, and then I went off and got into college, and I flunked out of college. So I guess that's my anti-bio, if you will. When my father left, this is 1971. My mother never worked a day outside of raising 6 kids. She went from being a stay-at-home mom, raising 6 kids, to now financially having to support a family of 7. And we never heard from my father again. My mother was an incredible woman. She never complained, she never explained. No matter what, she always believed in all of us. And she no matter who called, teachers would call, principals would call, maybe the police stopped by, I'm not sure, but she'd always stick up for me, and people didn't think she was being tough enough on me. And she'd always, say, he's going to make it, I believe in him. And she'd say that to me and about me. And, that was huge. I mean, that was really huge. Watching my mother work 2 jobs at, the age of 48, when she had to start working with no skill, right? And she had to take the time to raise us, was really impactful to see what she had to go through. 2 jobs for $2.65 an hour, because that was what minimum wage was back then. It made me really want to grow up someday and give her the life that she didn't have and really take care of her. Unfortunately, she passed before I got that opportunity, but not her impact at all. Around that same time, I met another incredible woman, Stacy Taylor, who I'd eventually would marry. And, meeting Stacy and her mom, who's here tonight, and her amazing grandmother, Frances Knapp, I saw this pattern repeating. Her mom, her grandmother, my mom, they, did the hard work, raised kids, and, when they got to a certain point, their husbands left, and they took everything with them. The income, the benefits, the retirements, all those things. And so I saw all these things, and that really bothered me. And one of my commitments initially was that, my wife wasn't going to have, she was going to be independent. She was going to, be as strong with or without me. So my wife, Stacy, she was this amazing hairdresser at a very young age. And in the early 90s, late 80s, she was working at a typical salon back then that didn't offer, vacations, education, training, health insurance, or retirement. And they were losing a lot of good friends, good employees were leaving, the salon industry to go get real jobs. So that was something that, we started thinking about. And then the only people that charged good money were men. Men only made up 2% of the industry as hairdressers, but they were the only ones that really could charge. So seeing that from the outside, it didn't look right. So we both saw an opportunity to create something, a new salon that, offered 3 things. Something to employees, women, that they weren't getting elsewhere, a real job with benefits and professionalism and training, something unique to the customers that not only were they not getting in the beauty industry, but anywhere else that we saw, and then something we can give back to the community, our success. Stacy had this incredible passion. Nick's talked about it, this passion and vision of what a salon could be, totally different than anyone had ever seen before. And it's don't ask the customers what they want, give them something they can't live without. And that was our business plans. We used to go out to bars and restaurants, and we used to write our ideas on a cocktail napkin. And we still have those cocktail napkins 24 years later framed. So February 15th, 1993, 24 years ago last month, we opened John Roberts Spa. And a lot of people think it was named after me. That is my middle name, John Robert. And that might be my only regret. I remember when we were thinking about what we're going to call it, Stacy's Salon, Stacy's this, because she was in the business. I was still driving a truck for UPS back at the time. And she said it can't be a woman's name. A woman's name doesn't work. It has to be a man's name. And I didn't know any better, and I believed it. And I guess that's the one thing I wish we would have thought more of. So we went with it. So we had just had our oldest son. He was just born 6 months prior. His name was John Robert the Fourth. So we named it John Roberts Spa. And then it wasn't about how big we got, how many locations we got. We just wanted to create an experience that was unique for employees, the guests, and the community. We really educated our employees, empowered our employees to be able to do whatever they thought, for the customer and give back. And by the late 1990s, we were crushing it. We were growing faster than we could handle. We were doing amazing things. We were doing, makeovers on all the local TV channels. Cosmo did an issue on the top 10 hairdressers in the United States. And Stacy was the only female of the top 10, and she was the only one not from New York, LA, Miami, the prominent cities. In the 90s, this is a lot today, in the mid to late 90s, Stacy was charging, over $100 a haircut. I mean, that's one of the most expensive at the time for a female in the country, let alone, Cleveland, Ohio. And we were training, growing, we were training future generations of hairdressers that could do the same and be independent and not be dependent on a relationship or a job or whatever, it was in the previous. As John Roberts exploded, businesses from other industries started asking me to speak because my name was on it, right? And we did have, we were built around good customer service, which eventually propelled my speaking and writing some books and, the DiJulius group and working with all these companies. But, if you see how that worked out, I got the credit and opportunity because my wife and I started something based on her passion and vision, right? So, I don't know if it's fair, but like my mother, Stacy's life was cut short, but her vision was realized by the ripple effect that she has had on thousands and thousands of people, including, the 150 plus staff that we have today, making great livings. Today we have multiple locations, been named one of the top 20 spas in America. We see over 200,000 guests a year. And most important to me are we have three companies today: the DiJulius Group, which we have a managing partner that started off in John Roberts Spa, now running the DiJulius Group, and we have Believe in Dreams, which is a nonprofit foundation giving back to deserving children, and that's run by one of our women, and we just opened a new location in Hudson, and one of our long-term employees is a partner in that. So very proud of what our vision, Stacy's vision, has created. So you can see why when I read or hear or my bio, my accomplishments, it's almost embarrassing because those aren't my accomplishments. I am who I am today because of the influence I had from, several incredible women in my life who believed in me. And it's the incredible women in my life, past and present, that I want to thank and recognize. And that's who, my bio deserves to. So, again, thank you, Rita, for putting this on and giving us a platform to help raise, everyone here. Thank you.
So our final Community Leadership Award recipient this evening, we heard him a little bit earlier, and he's an inspiration to a lot of people. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to John DiJulius, Chief Revolution Officer.
Now this is the Rita talk. I have been John's client for almost 18 plus years, and I'm going to share something which is very personal. I don't do my hair myself. I go every week, sometimes 2-3 times a week because of my crazy schedule. And every time you go, they take such good care of you, such good care of you. And also, secondly, John is so generous. It is probably unheard. He has given $10,000 worth of gift certificates to Women International Day. It's also given to men. So make sure when you leave, take that. Tomorrow morning you can walk there and get your hair done. Same time. And it's I have not heard, but thank you, John. And third, they just cut my hair also, recently. And I want to acknowledge, and I want to, everyone who are here from John Roberts, please stand up. Please stand up. And last but not least, I want to invite on stage, your dad is a phenomenal person, phenomenal. He is the heart of gold. Bo and Cal, please come here and stand next to him.
Wait.